Welcome to USA English Talks, a place where you can learn, improve, and grow step by step. Have you ever felt like you could do more in life, but somehow your life doesn't show it yet? Deep inside, you know you have potential. You have dreams. You imagine a better version of yourself. But when it comes to your daily actions, something feels off. There is a gap between who you are now and who you want to become. If you've ever felt stuck in that gap, this message is for you. Take a moment. Slow down, because this is not just another motivational talk. This is about real change. On this channel, we don't just say, work harder or stay positive. We try to understand your habits, your thoughts, and your struggles. And most importantly, we focus on simple and practical ways to improve. In this video, you will understand something deeper, how your brain works, why you feel stuck, and how you can slowly train yourself to move forward. Because the truth is simple. You don't need to become a completely different person. You just need to train your mind in a better way. So stay with me until the end. Now imagine this. It's late at night. You are lying in bed, holding your phone close to your face. The room is dark, and the only light is coming from your screen. Your eyes feel tired. Your body wants rest. But you keep scrolling. One more video, you tell yourself. But deep inside, you know it's not just one more video. You are not even enjoying it anymore. You are just trying to avoid something. That quiet feeling that comes when everything stops. For a moment you pause. Your thumb stops moving. The video is still playing, but your mind drifts away. You feel a small pressure in your chest. Not strong, but real. Finally, you lock your phone and put it aside. Now there is silence, real silence. And suddenly your thoughts become louder. Why did I do that again? You don't say it out loud, but you feel it deeply. You stare at the ceiling. You think about your day. You remember your plans. You remember what you told yourself last night. Tomorrow will be different. You believed it. Even if it was just for a few seconds, you believed it. But then morning came. The alarm rang. You opened your eyes, but you felt tired. Not just physically, but mentally. You looked at the time. You knew you should get up. You knew this moment was important. But then a small thought came. Just 5 more minutes. It felt harmless. So you closed your eyes again. When you woke up again, everything felt rushed. You grabbed your phone. Just a quick check. But that one small action changed everything. Messages, notifications, videos, noise. Before you even had control, your mind was already distracted. And just like that, your day started without you. You moved through your day, but without focus, without intention. You did things, but not the things that really matter. You kept telling yourself, I'll start later, after this, after that, after one more video. But later never came. And the strange thing is, you knew it. You were aware. You knew you were wasting time. You knew you were avoiding your work. But you still did it. And that hurts the most. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that you don't do what you already know. Sometimes you sit in front of your work. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's something important for your future. You look at it, you understand it, you even want to do it. But your body doesn't move. Your mind feels heavy. There is a resistance inside you, like something is pushing you away. You try to start. You really try. You say, okay, just focus. You give your attention for a few minutes. But then your mind starts to wander. You feel bored. You feel uncomfortable. And suddenly you want to escape. Without thinking, you pick up your phone. It happens automatically. And once again, you are gone. Later, when you come back to reality, that same feeling returns. Disappointment, not loud, not dramatic, but deep. You ask yourself again, why am I like this? You ask this question many times. Then you start comparing yourself to others. You see people who look focused, people who wake up early, people who seem disciplined, and you wonder, what's different about them and me? And then you start thinking, they are different. You look at other people and feel like they have something special, something you don't have. Maybe they have more discipline. Maybe they are mentally stronger. Maybe they have better control over their life. And slowly, without even noticing, you begin to create a story about yourself.
A quiet story in your mind.
You start saying things like, I'm not consistent, I always delay, I can't focus. At first, these feel like small thoughts. But the more you repeat them, the more real they start to feel. Over time, they don't feel like thoughts anymore. They feel like truth. They become part of your identity. Now, when you try to change, something inside you pushes back because your mind whispers, this is not who you are. So even when you try, you don't fully believe in yourself. And when you fail again, it only makes that belief stronger. Your mind says, see, this is you. And this is how the cycle continues. You make a plan. You feel motivated. You start. Then you stop. You feel bad. You escape. And after some time, you try again, over and over. Each time, your confidence becomes weaker. Each time, your trust in yourself becomes smaller. You say, I will do it tomorrow. But deep inside, a quiet voice says, no, you won't. That voice is not loud, but it is powerful because it comes from your past. You are not just fighting distraction. You are fighting your own history. Every time you didn't follow through, your brain learned something. It learned that your promises don't matter. It learned that comfort feels better than effort. It learned that you will choose easy over important. And now, those lessons are controlling your actions. That's why it feels so hard. That's why it feels like something is wrong with you. But here is the truth. There is nothing wrong with you. This is not about being lazy. This is about repetition. You have been trained. Trained by your habits. Trained by your environment. Trained by your past choices. Your brain is simply doing what it has learned to do. But when you don't understand this, you start blaming yourself. You think it's your personality. You think it's just who you are. And that belief makes everything heavier. Because if this is who you are, then how can you ever change? So you start feeling stuck, not just in your actions, but in your thinking. You feel like time is passing, but you are not moving forward. Like you are watching your own life from the outside. Sometimes you imagine a different version of yourself, a version that wakes up early, that focuses deeply, that works hard, that stays consistent, that improves every single day. That version feels real in your mind. You can see it clearly, but at the same time it feels far away, almost like it belongs to someone else. And that creates a quiet pain inside you. Because you know you are capable of more. You can feel it. You are not dreaming of something impossible. You are dreaming of something you truly believe you can become. But for some reason, you are not doing it. And that gap, the gap between what you know and what you actually do, that is where your frustrations lives. The truth is, you don't need more information. You already know what to do. You don't need more motivation. You've felt it many times before. But still, nothing changes. So the question becomes deeper. It's no longer, what should I do? It becomes, why don't I do what I already know? That question is uncomfortable because it forces you to look inside. It forces you to face something real, something that is not easy to accept. But at the same time, it is the most important question you can ask. Because maybe, just maybe, the problem is not what you think. Maybe you are not lacking discipline. Maybe you are not lacking motivation. Maybe you are not even lacking willpower. Maybe something else is happening. Something inside your brain that is stronger than your intentions. Something that controls your actions before you even realize it. And if that is true, then trying harder in the same way will not fix it. You don't need to push yourself more. You don't need to blame yourself more. You need to understand what is really happening, because once you see it clearly, something changes. Not outside, but inside. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, how is the brain working right now? And that small shift can change everything. So before you promise yourself again that tomorrow will be different, before you try to force yourself to become disciplined, let's slow down. Let's understand the real reason behind your behavior. Because what you are experiencing is not random. It is not a mystery. It follows a pattern, a very clear pattern. And once you see that pattern, you will never look at your habits, your focus, or your actions the same way again. Now let's understand what is really happening inside your brain. First, there is something very important you need to see. Right now, without even noticing it, your environment is controlling your behavior. You may think your problem is a lack of discipline or motivation, but take a moment and look around you. Your phone is probably very close. Maybe it's in your hand, maybe it's right next to you. Your apps are ready. Notifications can come at any time. Everything around you is designed to be fast, easy, and enjoyable. And your brain naturally moves toward what is easy. It doesn't stop and think, what is best for my future? It simply asks, what feels easy right now? So when distraction is just one step away and effort feels like 5 steps away, your brain will choose distraction almost every time. That's why it feels like you are fighting yourself. It's not just about willpower. It's about how your life is set up. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to eat healthy while junk food is always on your table, or trying to focus while your phone keeps lighting up every few minutes. You are putting yourself in a situation where the wrong choice is easier than the right one, and then you blame yourself when you fail. But the truth is, your environment is winning the battle before you even start. So instead of trying to become stronger every day, start becoming smarter. Change your environment. Here is the key idea. Reduce friction for good habits. Increase friction for bad habits. Friction simply means how easy or difficult something is to start. If something is easy, you will do it more. If something is difficult, you will avoid it. For example, if your phone is always next to you, you don't even think. You just pick it up automatically. But if you put your phone in another room, now there is a small barrier. You have to stand up. You have to walk. That small effort may seem nothing, but in that moment, it can stop the habit. It gives you a chance to pause and think, do I really need this right now? Now think about your good habits. If you want to study, but your books are inside your bag, your table is messy, and your space feels uncomfortable, your brain already feels resistance. It feels like work just to begin, so you delay it. But if your book is already open, your pen is ready, and your space is clean and simple, starting becomes easy. You remove both mental and physical resistance. The first step feels natural. Even something small, like preparing your study space before sleeping, can change everything. When you wake up, you don't need to think. You don't need to prepare. The decision is already made. The path is already clear. And when the path is clear, your brain follows it easily. This is the truth. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your environment. If your environment is built for distraction, you will keep getting distracted. If your environment is built for focus, you will start focusing naturally. This is not magic. This is design. So stop saying, I need more discipline. Instead, ask, how can I make this easier to do? Real change doesn't come from forcing yourself again and again. It comes from building a life where the right choice feels easy and the wrong choice feels difficult. This is not about being stronger. This is about being smarter. Now, let's go deeper. Why does this actually happen? What you are experiencing is not random. It is not because you are lazy. It is not because something is wrong with you. Your brain is working exactly the way it was designed to work. And once you understand this, that confusing question, why am I like this, starts to become clear. Your brain is not one simple system. It has different parts that are always influencing your decisions, most of the time without you even noticing. To make it simple, you can think of your brain as having 2 sides. One side is focused on survival. The other side is focused on growth. And many times, these 2 sides are in conflict. The first one is the survival brain. This part is very old. Its job is simple. Keep you safe. Keep you comfortable. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your future. It only cares about one thing. Avoid discomfort right now. This is the part that tells you to stay in bed when your alarm rings, because the bed feels warm and safe. This is the voice that says, don't take risks, because risks feel uncomfortable. It pushes you toward easy pleasure, scrolling your phone, watching videos, doing things that feel good instantly. Then there is the second part, the growth brain. This part is more advanced. It is responsible for learning, improving, and building your future. This is the part that tells you to wake up early, even when it's hard. It is the voice that says, study, practice, focus, keep going, even when it feels uncomfortable. And now you can see the truth. You are not weak. You are simply caught between these 2 forces. One part wants comfort now. The other wants a better future. And your daily life is the result of which side you follow more often. So the goal is not to destroy your survival brain. That's impossible. The goal is to understand it and gently guide yourself toward growth. Because once you understand this, you stop fighting yourself blindly, and you start working with your brain instead of against it. This part of your brain thinks about your future. It cares about who you can become, not just how you feel right now. Now here is the real problem. This is where everything starts to make sense. Your survival brain is faster and stronger than your growth brain. It reacts instantly. It works like autopilot. You don't need to think, it just acts. The moment something feels uncomfortable, it immediately tries to protect you. It pushes you back toward comfort. It doesn't stop and ask, is this good for my future? It simply says, this feels hard. Let's avoid it. That's why when you decide to change your life, your brain does not celebrate. It does not say, great decision, let's work hard. Instead, it reacts like you are in danger, because to your survival brain, discomfort feels like a threat. Waking up early feels like losing comfort. Studying feels like effort. Practicing feels tiring. So your brain sends signals. This is uncomfortable. This is not safe. Let's go back to what feels easy. And that is why you avoid hard tasks. That is why you choose easy pleasure. That is why you delay important work. It's not because you don't care. It's not because you don't have goals. It's because your brain is doing its job. It is trying to protect you from discomfort, even when that protection is stopping your growth. So when you sit there and think, why can't I focus? Why do I keep delaying everything? You need to understand something clearly. This is not a weakness. This is a pattern in your brain. And more importantly, it is a pattern that has not been trained yet. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you never train a muscle, it stays weak. It always chooses the easiest movement. It avoids effort. It avoids pressure. But when you train it slowly, again and again, it becomes stronger. The same thing is happening with your brain. If you always follow the easy path, your brain gets used to it. It becomes automatic. It becomes your default. That's why right now your brain keeps choosing the easiest option. Not because it is the best, but because it is the most familiar. Because it requires the least effort. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you are training that pattern. You are teaching your brain, this is what we do. But here is the most important truth. Just like a muscle can be trained, your brain can also be trained. The patterns you have today are not permanent. They are simply the result of repetition. What you have practiced again and again. If you can train distraction, you can also train focus. If you can train comfort, you can also train growth. Right now, your brain is just following the easiest path. But with the right training, you can change that path. Now, this is where everything begins to shift. But only if you truly understand it. Not just hear it, but feel it. Most people believe the wrong idea. They say, I need more motivation. So they wait for the perfect feeling, the right mood, the sudden energy. Or they say, I need discipline. As if discipline is something you are born with. So they keep waiting and nothing changes. But the truth is different and much more practical. Motivation is not your real problem. Discipline is not your starting point. The real issue is this. Your brain has been trained in a certain way, and now it is simply repeating that training. Think about your daily life. Every time you chose comfort over effort, every time you opened your phone instead of focusing, every time you delayed something important, you were not just making a small choice. You were training your brain. You were teaching it a pattern. You were showing it again and again. When things feel hard, we escape. We distract. We choose what feels good now. And over time, this becomes automatic. It becomes your default behavior. Not because it is the best choice, but because it is the most practiced one.
Your brain does not judge.
It does not say, this is good or this is bad. It simply learns from repetition. Whatever you repeat becomes stronger. Whatever you avoid becomes weaker. So now, when you suddenly try to change everything, wake up early, focus deeply, stay consistent, your brain resists. Not because you are incapable, but because you are asking it to do something new. Something it has not been trained to do. It's like expecting your body to run a marathon without ever practicing running. Of course it feels hard. Of course it feels uncomfortable. That's not failure. That's reality. And once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and you start training yourself. Of course it feels difficult. Of course there is resistance. That is normal. And this is where the real shift begins. Instead of blaming yourself, instead of thinking, something is wrong with me, you begin to see the truth. What you are experiencing is not your identity. It is your conditioning. It is not who you are. It is what you have practiced. And when you truly understand this, something inside you starts to relax. that heavy feeling of guilt becomes lighter because now you realize, I am not stuck like this forever. I didn't become this way in one day, and I don't need to fix it in one day. You stop fighting yourself, and you start understanding yourself. Then comes the most important truth. If your brain can be trained for distraction, it can also be trained for focus. If it can learn to chase quick rewards, it can also learn to work for long-term success. The same brain that pulls you toward comfort today can guide you toward growth tomorrow. But only with the right training. This is not about becoming a different person. You don't need a new personality. You don't need special talent. What you need is a new pattern, a new way of repeating small actions until they become natural. Because your life is not controlled by one big decision. It is controlled by what you do again and again, often without thinking. So instead of asking, how do I become more motivated? Ask a better question. What am I training my brain to do every day? That question gives you power. It shifts your focus from feelings to actions, from waiting to building. And once you understand this, you stop hoping for change and you start creating it. Now let's move to the part that actually changes your life, not ideas, not motivation. Real training, because understanding your brain is how powerful, but training it is what creates results. And here is the key. You will not change your life by forcing yourself to feel motivated every day. That method fails again and again. Instead, you build small systems that guide your actions even when you don't feel ready. This is how real change begins, quietly, simply, consistently. Let's start with something very small, but very powerful. Your brain resists big tasks. The moment you say, I will study for 2 hours, your brain feels pressure. It sees effort. It sees discomfort, so it avoids. That's why you don't even start. The task feels too heavy before you begin. So here is the shift. Don't ask your brain to do something big. Ask it to do something so small that it cannot say no. Just say, I will do this for 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure, no big promise. And something interesting happens. Your brain relaxes because 5 minutes feels easy. So you start. And once you start, everything changes. You create movement. You break resistance. This is where momentum begins. Sometimes 5 minutes becomes 10, then 20. Not because you forced yourself, but because starting removed the barrier. And even if you stop after 5 minutes, you still win. Because you trained the most important skill, starting. Most people don't fail because they can't continue. They fail because they never begin. When you train yourself to start, you change everything. Now let's talk about something most people ignore, but it controls your behavior, your environment. Your surroundings are not neutral. They are influencing you all the time. If your phone is always near you, if your apps are always open, if notifications keep pulling you, distraction becomes the easiest choice. And your brain will always choose what is easiest. It doesn't think about your future. It follows what is available. So instead of fighting distraction, change your environment. Make small but powerful changes. Put your phone in another room. Keep your book open on your table. Prepare your study space before sleeping. These simple actions remove resistance from good habits and add resistance to bad ones. And slowly, your behavior changes without constant struggle. This is not about more discipline. This is about better design. Now let's understand something else. Your brain learns from rewards, but most people make a mistake. They only reward themselves after big success, after perfect results. But success takes time. So in the beginning, your brain feels no reward. And without reward, there is no motivation to continue. So change this. Don't reward only results. Reward action. Reward effort. If you studied for 10 minutes, that matters. If you practiced, that matters. If you tried again, that matters even more. You are teaching your brain showing up is important. Effort feels good. And when your brain connects effort with a positive feeling, it starts repeating it naturally. This is how consistency is built, and consistency creates success. Now let's talk about the hardest moment, when you don't feel like doing anything. This is where most people stop. They say, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes the same story. So you need a new rule. Take action, even when you don't feel like it. Not in a big way, in a small way. When your brain says, not today, You don't fight it. You don't force big effort. You simply say, just 5 minutes. This is real mental strength. Not feeling motivated, but moving even without motivation. Because the truth is, most days will not feel exciting. Many days will feel normal or even boring. And if you depend on feelings, you will stop again and again. But if you take small action, no matter how you feel, you build a new identity. A person who shows up, a person who acts, even in small steps. And this brings us to one of the biggest shifts, how you see yourself. The words you use matter. They shape your actions. If you say, I'm trying to learn English, it feels uncertain, optional. But if you say, I am someone who practices every day, now it becomes part of who you are. Your brain starts aligning your actions with that identity. The same with discipline. Don't say, I want to be disciplined. Say, I am building discipline daily. Now it becomes a process, something you are doing every day. And slowly, those small actions become natural. All of this may feel simple, but together, they create a powerful system. You start small so your brain does not resist. And step by step, you begin to change your life. You design your environment so the right choices feel easier. You reward effort so your brain wants to repeat it. You take action even without mood, so you build real strength. And you change your identity so your actions match who you believe you are. This is how you train your brain, not in one big moment, but through small decisions repeated every day. Now let's talk about something most people ignore, but it controls almost everything: your inner voice. The way you speak to yourself, especially in difficult moments, has a huge impact on your life. More than motivation, more than advice, more than anything outside. This voice is always there. Sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't, but it is always talking. It comments, it judges, it guides your actions. And here is the truth. This voice can either help you or hold you back. If you listen carefully, you may notice a pattern. When things go wrong, when you don't follow your plan, when you lose focus, your inner voice becomes negative. It says things like, I'm not consistent, I always fail, I can't focus. And in that moment, it feels true, like you are just describing reality. But here is what you don't see. These thoughts are not neutral. They are training your brain. Every time you repeat them, you are building an identity. You are telling your brain, this is who I am. And once your brain believes that, it starts acting that way. If you keep saying, I'm lazy, your brain will choose lazy actions. Not because it's true, but because it has been repeated so many times. So the goal is not fake positivity. You don't need to say, I'm perfect or everything is easy. That doesn't work. Your brain won't believe it. Instead, you train your inner voice to be more accurate, more helpful, more focused on growth. You are not trying to feel better. You are trying to think better. For example,
Instead of saying, I'm lazy,
say, I'm learning to control my actions. This small change matters. It doesn't ignore the problem, but it changes the direction. It turns identity into a process. Now your brain sees it as a skill, something you can improve. Another example, when you fail or don't follow your plan, you may think, I failed again. That feels heavy, final, discouraging. But change it to, I didn't follow the system. I'll adjust. Now everything changes. The focus is not on you, it is on your actions. And actions can be improved. This way of thinking keeps you in control. It turns failure into feedback. Now think about this moment. When you don't feel like doing anything, your brain says, I don't feel like it. And most of the time, you stop. But what if you respond differently? Instead of stopping, you say, that's okay. I'll still start small. Now you are not fighting your feelings. You are accepting them, but not obeying them. You are teaching your brain, action does not depend on mood. This is real mental training. It is not loud, it is not dramatic. It happens quietly inside your mind when you choose one thought instead of another. And over time, these small changes grow. You become less reactive, less emotional, more focused, and something powerful begins to happen. That inner voice, the one that used to hold you back, starts helping you. It becomes calmer, more stable, more supportive. Instead of attacking you, it guides you. Instead of stopping you, it encourages you. This is how you reprogram your brain. Not all at once, but one thought at a time. Now listen carefully, because this is the part most people avoid, but it is the part that can change your life. The truth is simple. Your life will not change until your daily actions change. Not your thoughts alone, not your plans, not your intentions, but what you actually do every single day, even when no one is watching. It's easy to watch something like this and feel inspired. For a moment, everything feels clear. You understand your mistakes. You feel ready. But feeling ready is not enough. Because if your actions don't change, nothing changes. And once you accept this, you stop waiting and you start doing. But inspiration doesn't last. It comes and then it fades. And if nothing changes after that feeling disappears, then nothing in your life changes either. No video, no advice, no motivational speech, no matter how powerful it sounds, can change your life if you don't take action. These things can guide you. They can open your eyes. They can show you direction, but they cannot walk the path for you. Now, to be honest, your situation is not easy. Your brain makes things harder sometimes. It pulls you toward comfort. It resists effort. It makes you feel tired. Even before you begin, there are days when you feel stuck. Days when your energy is low, when your focus disappears, when even small tasks feel heavy. All of that is real. You are not imagining it, and you are not alone. But here is the truth that can change everything if you accept it. Even with all of that, you are still responsible for what you do next. Not for every feeling, not for every thought, but for your actions, for the decision you make after this moment. And that responsibility is not a burden. It is power. Because if your actions are in your control, even in small ways, then your future is not fixed. You are not stuck as one version of yourself. You are not trapped. You are not trapped in your habits forever. What you are experiencing right now is not permanent. It is training, or more honestly, a lack of training in certain areas. And when you see it this way, everything changes. You are not broken. You are untrained. And training takes time. It does not feel exciting in the beginning. It does not give quick results. Most of the time, it feels slow. It feels repetitive. Sometimes it even feels boring. And that is exactly why most people quit. They want fast change, big results, strong emotions. But real growth doesn't work like that. It is not built on excitement. It is not built on motivation. It is built on repetition. Doing the same small action again and again, even when it feels ordinary, even when it feels like nothing is happening. That repetition slowly changes your brain. It turns effort into habit, and habit into identity. So if you are waiting to feel ready, you will keep waiting. If you are waiting to feel motivated, you will keep stopping. But if you accept that progress comes from small, repeated actions, even when they feel uncomfortable, then you step onto a different path, a real path, a slow path, but a path that actually leads somewhere. So tonight, before you go to sleep, don't make another big promise. Don't say, tomorrow everything will be perfect. Don't expect yourself to wake up as a completely new person, full of energy, full of discipline, doing everything right. You've tried that before, and you know how it ends. It starts with excitement and slowly returns to the same pattern, not because you don't care, but because the plan was too big, too sudden, too unrealistic for how your brain works. So do something different. Do something small. Something so simple it almost feels too easy. Tonight, choose just one action. Only one. Not a full plan. Not a perfect routine. Just one small step forward. Maybe open a book. Maybe practice English for a few minutes. Maybe organize your desk. Maybe start something you've been delaying. It doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be real. And when you choose it, don't try to do it perfectly. Don't try to do it for long. Just do it for 5 minutes. That's it. Because what you are building is not a perfect result. You are building a new pattern. You are teaching your brain, when I decide to do something, I start. That lesson is more important than how long you continue. Because success is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built quietly in small decisions most people ignore. It is built when you choose to start, even if it's small. It is built when you show up for a few minutes instead of doing nothing. And when you repeat those small actions again and again, they begin to shape who you are. At first, it won't feel like much. It may even feel too simple. But slowly, something changes. Starting becomes easier, resistance becomes weaker, and without realizing it, you begin to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, deeply, and in a way that lasts. And one day, you will notice something different. You will go through your day and realize you are not the same person anymore. Things that once felt impossible now feel normal. Habits that felt hard now feel natural. And the gap between who you were and who you wanted to be becomes smaller and smaller. Not because everything became easy, not because you waited for motivation, but because you trained your brain step by step, day by day. So if this message connected with you, even a little, don't let it end here. Don't let it become just another video you watched. Use it. Take one small idea and apply it. Start today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, even if it feels small, even if it feels simple, even if it feels like it's not enough, because small is not weak.